So logbooks are also kept in port, although slightly different emphasis. This we see, they've sailed to Rio de Janeiro and then up to Pernambuco, Brazil to load some sugar. And instead of having all of this navigation in port, they just need to record what's going on. So weather, fresh breezes, went into the river harbor and moored, commenced to discharge ballast the next day at night seeing. And so it goes on for about a week and a half, all is well. They're discharging, they have lighters. This is often a good place to find little notes about how the ship interacted with people on shore, what was going on with the sailors, you know, small notes on that nature. So all goes well until we get to this day, Saturday the 16th of December, of March, sorry, Saturday the 16th of March. First part's rainy, latter part's clear, the cook goes to the hospital. They don't say with what, but the cook is in the hospital. Next day is rainy. The day after that, they send one man to the hospital. The day after that, they send the second mate to the hospital. So something is going through the crew. They're not writing what exactly, but something is going through the crew. The day after that, we send another man to the hospital and we get news that the cook has died. A couple days later, we get the second mate back. Whoops. On a bit of a rainy day after we've loaded a bunch of bags of sugar. So obviously Captain Clifford didn't like this situation very much, so he opted to get to sea as quickly as possible, which was perhaps a good decision. It seems like they were coming down, as far as we can tell, likely with yellow fever or some kind of mosquito-borne illness. Unfortunately, they took the illness with them. So here we have the 30th of March, standard logbook entries again, moderate breeze. 2 men are sick, but the pumps are carefully attended. So when the sugar cargo gets to New York, they can say we pumped out the salt water as fast as it came in. You know, the cargo should not be damaged. We made all of our efforts to make sure that the cargo was not damaged. The next day is calm, and here we are, the captain and wife are very sick. 2 men are sick. So this keeps going. The captain and wife are still sick. Pumps are carefully attended. 1 man is sick. And we keep going for a couple more days along these lines until we get to the 5th of April, when we see that the captain was very sick. At 8 p.m. he lost his reason, continued a little bit longer until 5:45 in the morning, when he died having the black vomit for 9.5 hours. At 6 a.m. we buried him and set colors at half-mast. So this is not great for your voyage. Fortunately, the logbook and it appears a lot of the navigation, we see these numbers still, are being done by the first mate. So the ship can still carry on without the captain. Mrs. C is some better. So captain's wife is getting over this and another passenger is still sick. The next day, however, the writing changes, which is not a good sign. These 24 hours commence with light winds. The mate is taken sick. So the logbook is often kept by the first mate of the ship. The second mate was a step down in the hierarchy, is often your first step into the world of navigating and being responsible for a ship. So this second mate, the first time probably actually keeping the logbook, the mate is taken sick and he's taken sick and the second mate is suddenly in charge. And we can see that at the very bottom here, suddenly a lot of these boxes that are navigation are no longer filled out. So potentially not a great sign. Turn the page. The mate is doing his best. The second mate is doing his best. Folks are still sick. Here we go. At 1 p.m. we saw a ship to leeward. At 4 p.m. we took in the mainsail, et cetera, et cetera. We spoke to the ship and asked for assistance, but could not procure any. The ship was bound from Montevideo towards Cuba. So the second mate is realizing that the number of sick folks on the ship is overwhelming him and he doesn't really know what he's doing. So we still don't have a lot of navigational works, but nobody wants to talk to him. So all continues the next day and carry on, but nobody will help them and nobody knows how to navigate. They're really drifting here. And asking for help. But this changes on Wednesday, April 1st. The captain's wife has gotten better. And at some point in the afternoon, she takes things in hand. So we have this 2 notes in the logbook on April 5th. At 3:30 a.m., the mate died and buried him, but the ship is now being navigated by the captain's wife. At 6 p.m., they set the gaff topsail, and the pumps are still being carefully attended to. And this is where this voyage starts turning around. The captain's wife, she takes a couple days to get better, but in not too long, she is indeed doing all of the navigation, making the calculations. The log returns to its normal, fairly basic description of what's going on. And in due time, they wind up in New York, which is where they were supposed to go, not the nearest point of land, but they get to where they're going. Right home, another captain gets dispatched, and Mrs. Clifford goes and lives the rest of her life on shore. But this is a great example, I think, both of the limitations of a logbook, but a logbook that contains a very interesting story in the way that it is put together.